This is a 1957 Dodge W100 Town Wagon Power Wagon. First year for a conventional cab carryall that you could get four-wheel drive from the factory. Many people consider this to be the holy grail of the power giant era Dodge trucks,
which ran from 1957 to 1960.
It's got a really unusual coral paint. That was a 1 year only for the trucks in 57. It's called Bermuda Coral. In 57, you got mechanical gauges all the way across. You could monitor what was going on. Power Wagon came into use either 46 or 47. There's a crossover when they made the civilian flat-fendered Power Wagons that were based on the military Dodges that they were using for World War I, World War II. And they wanted to bring some of that to the civilian market. And the badging that they came up with was Power Wagon. The people talk about the Suburban, right? This is called a town wagon, and Chevy largely is associated with the Suburban name. But in general, this was the first factory four-wheel drive Suburban made, was a 57 Dodge Power Wagon. Prior to this, you could get a flat fender Power Wagon pickup, and that was about it. And if you've ever owned or driven one of those, it's more like a tractor than it is a truck. This is actually feels like a truck, drives like a truck, and was the first time that you could get this directly from the factory without upfitting it from like a Marmon Harrington or some of these other companies that would place four-wheel drive systems under your two-wheel drive. Second gear, third gear. It is a 3-speed load flight, so we're in our top gear with the 410s and the 33-inch tall tires. This is actually the control for the four-wheel drive. 90% of the time, this shift lever is all the way forward in what we'll call two high. That's two-wheel drive going on your rear wheels. Most of your drive time is going to be done in that way. Power steering and power brakes. This is a real easy 57 to drive. If you needed to tow this thing behind an RV or something, you would pull it back 2 clicks, 1, 2, and it would put it into neutral. That would allow the transfer case, which controls your four-wheel drive activity, to be in freewheel. Now, from that neutral position, if you go down one more, that's all the way to the back, you're in four-wheel drive low. And that's the one that climbs right up the side of a mountain or the side of a wall. These things are incredibly agile, moving up a steep incline. There's one more setting right below two-wheel drive high called four-wheel drive high. So if you don't need to max out at 5 miles an hour going up a hill, but you still want your four-wheel drive capability, you can go ahead and put it in four-wheel drive high. Still retain some of your highway type gearing and be able to move a little more quickly across the terrain. This is very Fred Flintstone, right? Very utilitarian. Not a whole lot of fancy going on. One thing on the floor you might want to notice that you won't see a lot. Usually there's a second one of these pedals for your clutch for a 4-speed. This is a push-button automatic. All you get is the one brake pedal. This power takeoff control is for the factory winch. This is cable driven, so as you pull on it, that cable activates the PTO on the transfer case, a power PTO, power takeoff. That thing starts spinning in whatever direction the transmission is going. So because we have an automatic here and not a stick shift, you would put it into neutral, pull your emergency brake so you don't roll somewhere, and if you wanted the winch to come towards you, put it in reverse. If you wanted the winch to release, put it in drive. And when you were finished using it, put it in neutral and you push this cable handle back in, it would disconnect the PTO and you'd be back to standard business. The factory engine would get a 315 polyspheric V8. And the other one was a flathead 6. This one is a V8 truck, and you'll see a special badge on the front of the hood that designates it as such. So originally this one had the 315 V8 poly. However, I knew someone who was a Hemi collector, Bill Golden, And I told him what we were restoring, and he lost it. He goes, Mark, I've got an engine that you're never, ever going to see, and it's something that would go in your truck. And I said, well, what is it? He goes, well, it's a 315 Hemi, and it's a target replacement block. I'm like, are you seriously? And I knew what that meant from muscle cars. Target blocks were blanks. There were no serial numbers or no anything. The dealers had them. If you grenaded your motor, they could replace your engine with one of these target blocks. Super rare. And to find an original target block for a 57, 58 Dodge truck, it's unheard of. And he knew it too. And he goes, man, I just needed somebody like you who was doing something like this as a resto. I mean, I know it's not the exact original motor that came in this truck, but this block and everything about this engine I have is so rare. Wouldn't it be neat to showcase that in your town wagon?
Oh wow, that's a Super Power Giant 315. Is that?
That is the stock sticker that they put on the 315 Super Power Giant for the Hemi. And if you had a regular Poly, it just said Power Giant 315. Everybody out there in early truckland will get a good laugh out of this. The horsepower difference between the Hemi and the Poly is 10. 10 horsepower and a sticker. But the $1 million smiles you get at the show when you pop the hood and people are like, whoa, it's got a Hemi in it and it's old. That's the $1 million payoff and is worth more than the 10 horsepower. The bare block itself was interchangeable, Poly to Hemi. They designed it to be universal.
What's poly mean?
Poly is the shape of the combustion chamber, hemispherical versus polyspherical. They would make jokes and call the Poly a semi-Hemi, a semi-Hemi. But there's only one Hemi, and the other one's a polyspherical. So polyspherical and hemispherical was based on the engine design related to the heads. And this is a driver. I will drive this down to Starbucks, let people get photos and take their kids and get them in front of it and take pictures and bring it back. I'll use it for charities. It gets a lot of use, so it's a little bit of work to keep it looking this nice and clean, but it's worth it. In 1957, this was the last year with this wild front end body style they did. When you look inside, this one still has the old wagon style steering wheel, and then you have the strap style turn signal here on it. And see how the wheel's just basically flat. It doesn't dish out like some of the newer truck steering wheels started in 58.
Look at that oil filter. Is that unusual? Why do they have it up there?
Not only is it mounted up there, and it's also angled like that from the factory. Those are not new holes. That's the way it was. So we put it in exactly the same place. And they would just run remote filters. That was still the thing, remote sock filter with two lines going down to a plate at the bottom corner of the block.
Is that air bath oil cleaner? And
it is a factory oil bath air cleaner. That's right. Yeah, it's a 2-barrel. They didn't have a whole lot of carburation going on with these. But if it had grunt power, it could go up a hill. It could pull things out of the ground. Even the half ton with this is a 410 truck. So it's very street and highway friendly as these power wagons go. This is a lot of fun to drive. You can drive it with one finger because it's got power steering. And some people love the look and some people think it's really, everyone's got an opinion on this, on the way it looks. The color on this is let's just be honest, it's wild. It's that era, those kind of chiffon greens and coral sand and a lot of the T-Birds had that, right? Well, Dodge did something for their trucks. 1 year that you could get that kind of thinned Mopar color, and this is it. We actually matched the color off of a piece of the original truck. And so, this really, it's not going off a code and hoping the code was right. This was matched off of the original. We found a part of the truck that hadn't got hit by sun, and we took it and they matched it with a gun and pulled the exact color. So that was a lot of fun.
Tell me about the seat, why it's split this way.
This is a carryover from military stuff. The little 60-40, they call it a jumper seat. That thing will fold forward all the way to the dash. So you can climb in the back and access those rear seats. You had to order the rear seats on this. They had a 6, a 0, a 6, and an 8. This one is the 8, so it's got a smaller 2-person in the middle, so you can get by to get to the 3-person in the back. So when people talk about town wagons, a lot of times they go, well, do you have all the seats? The reason they'd ask that is because in the 60s and 70s, they would take all the seats out of these things and put a mattress in the back, curtains over the windows, and turn these into campers. Maybe people would live out of these. I mean, a lot of times when you find them to restore them, you pull them out of a field and it looks like someone had been living in it. And this was no exception. This one looked like somebody might have had it as a home before it got restored. For some reason, maybe it was to keep it out of the sun, Dodge mounted the spare tire on the inside. It's kind of right in the way when you get in, trying to get back to these seats. And if you don't have those bolts tightened down real good, it's a rattle. This takes up a lot of real estate. It's got the original, tractor tread tire on it. It's a 19.5 rim.
What's that made of?
It is fiberboard. And then some finish lips on the edges to kind of fit a plastic finish. All of these are functional slider windows. On the floor, if you can just look down there, you can see it has, it looks like a pickup bed down here. Like you've got the stainless slats and then the pieces of wood on the floor. Originally, in this area, they had a piece of like fiberboard or what do they call it, like a plywood piece and a rubber mat over it. And one of the upgrades that Town Wagon restorers and people were doing is replacing that with basically the wood that you'd find in your pickup bed. This one has some sat marks in it, the kind of lighter color against the dark, which is very pretty. All of these seats are held in by slide-in carriage bolts. So if I wanted to empty this back area out completely, I would just give the seat a little kick and it would pop forward and come out of the carriage bolt holders, and out the back doors it would go. They had a radio option. There's people that argue back and forth that roof mount radio wasn't offered in 57. I have seen 57 trucks that have a roof mount radio, original in a wrecking yard. They would mount it to the ceiling and drill a hole through the roof. See how they did that?
Yeah. I want to see how you kick that seat up.
Push it. It's just hand push manual.
Where's there's...
That's it. There's nothing locks it. It's just gravity.
So if you had a wreck, your seat's going forward, isn't it?
You kind of got to push up and over to get it to go forward. If you just push straight ahead, it moves a bit, but I'm pulling on it. It doesn't really want to move. If I pull and move up, easy. Did I mention that seat belts were not required either? So, taking your life into your own hands with an early four-wheel drive.
You said the other seat has something to it too.
Yeah, they were looking for some handy storage, so they created a lock box. One of the things that bolts that seat down is actually a metal hinge. All you do is you lift on the back of the seat. So right now that's just a dust storage. I don't have anything in there being stored, but you can see it's a decent amount of room. Yeah, you could put some stuff there, a little toolkit, maybe some road flares, etc. And it's pretty smart. They made good use of this. This is a four-wheel drive block-off plate. They put this rubber block-off plate here and moved the gas tank to the back.
Now, why does this say 100?
Half ton. Half ton would be 100. 3/4 would have said 200. 1 ton would be 300. And then through the big cabs, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800. Yeah, this is a real pleasure to drive. Real easy. Comfortable, don't have to worry about clutches. These are high clearance, one piece 19.5 Bud wheels. So this was the big heavy duty workhorse rim that you could order for your truck. This was it. This was top of the line. These have become very sought after for people with this era truck. A 6-lug 19.5 Bud wheel. Very rare, and boy do they look good. They look fantastic. 57 hood, real pleasing to look at from the driver's seat. All of the Town Wagons, even the panel trucks back in the early 50s that they borrowed this body from, they all have barn doors. It's just huge access, huge. You know, what have you got? 7.5 feet of just nothing but covered, protected cargo room. They use these for bread trucks, painting trucks. They'd even install shelving and things. Back here, you get a really good look at the seat rails and the carriage bolts and how those work. To lock these things, see these pins up here? They go on the other side of the opening and then pop up and hold it. You got to make sure these things actually pop up. Because a lot of times it'll look like it's closed and it won't actually have slid up and hold the door. So I'll show you how I do that to make sure I don't end up with a surprise that I don't need in my life. So you can see it's just hitting there. I'm gonna pull the handle, goes forward. I'm gonna put a little pressure there, and then I'm gonna pop it. Real simple. And then you can look and see it's gone completely up and held itself. There is no holder down here on the bottom on this left door. It's just loose. That's handled by this door, which has locks on upper and lower. Okay, and this one's trickier because you got to make sure both of them sit in there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn it down so they're now opened. Set that in. I'm going to release that and then just do a quick pop. Now you hear it clicked. That one locked. We're just going to double check down here. Perfect. That one locked without any issue. So now we go and drive it, and this one's going to be nice and tight.
Well, you gonna show me how to ride it home, drive it?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Driving these town wagons at night are fun, especially when all the lights work, which this one does. It's real enjoyable. Couple fun things. This has the optional roof mount radio, so I'm gonna turn this on so you can see it lighting up. And I have the original tubes in it still, so they'll warm up here. And then in a second we'll get our music.
From A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it's
commercial.
open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs
So
to
works
upgrades,
pretty good.
A1 from day one.
Nice healthy Hemi engine. Sounds great. Let's go ahead and pull the lights. There we go. You can see, of course, all the instrument lights work. Speedometer, but take a look at the push button auto. You don't get to see that too often. Where this was an NOS unit we got during the restoration. It's perfect. The chrome, the clarity, and the brightness of the buttons when you're working at night. It just makes it a lot of fun to drive this car. You've got all the correct nighttime appointments here, and it's like taking a step back into the 1950s, where everything's new and it works, which is a bonus. So go ahead, we're hitting drive. You can feel the auto trans kick in, and we'll head down the road.
What do you got for gauges?
We've got a standard speedometer, odometer. You've got the fuel gauge and amp gauge, temperature gauge and oil pressure gauge. They're all mechanical, which is nice. I mean, of course, the amp gauge is electric, but yeah, you get real accuracy there. On a lot of the newer vehicles, everything's through sensors, and these go direct to the block, and you're getting a reading straight off of a piece of copper or brass dropping into the coolant. So here we go. Part of the driving experience of any 57 truck, but the Power Wagon tickled that something this old looks this good and is being driven. You know, where everything's going through a wind tunnel, you know, to be designed, and now electric. You know, I don't know if you know this, but this town wagon's actually a hybrid. Yep. It runs on gasoline, but it also burns oil. Hybrid. 1950s hybrid. Anyway, that's why I don't have a career as a comedian. I'll stick to cars. Now, one thing that we added into this is a little bit of a help. Take a look inside the glove box. There's a reverse camera, so I can see where I'm going and not hit anything. Because, well, if you've driven a town wagon, you know it's not easy to see things. Those big barn doors cover a lot of real estate. And having to do 3-point turns and things like that, having a push-button automatic transmission is so nice. It's so easy and so effortless. I highly recommend getting one. And all my Power Giant, all 2 of them that I have, are all push-button automatics. One, I'm lucky to find them because, you know, they're not super plentiful, and they're a joy to drive. It's so easy, not having to worry. Okay, we'll put the lights out here, and we'll go ahead and shut it off. So, yeah. Muy bien. Está bien, señor. This grill guard is optional. This is the only 1957 that I'm aware of that has an accurate 57 grill guard. Each one literally had to be hand fabricated to the truck it was going on. So if you can look at this upper brace, take a look. It's powder coated gloss black. Bolts into the side of the guard. It goes in and the metal jogs to the right and goes through a hole in the radiator support. This thing goes like a maze all the way through the truck and bolts down to the frame. They got another one doing the same thing over here, and then they've got these mounts down here that bolt to the frame extensions here, and then this brace bar for the winch. I have not seen proof of a factory one ever being made. They had them on the brochures, and I can show you those all day long, where the artist rendering showed this. I have a friend who's a master fabricator, and we thought it was about time that people got to see a 57 grill guard, like a real one, done exactly the way it was supposed to be done. And based off the artist renderings and looking at it from every angle we could, Mike Clark, a master fabricator, from the drawings fabricated just like they would have done at the Special Equipment Group shop. Fabricated this from the drawings, and he nailed it. And then I sent it to be chromed, and he went ahead and put all the hardware and got it on the front of the truck. So I have never seen a real 57 four-wheel drive grill. I've seen a lot of 58, 59, and 60s, tons of them, but not a 57. So this may be the only one that you've seen because Mike and I got to work and decided we're going to make it happen. So this one has been created to give people an idea of what that looked like. And it's real. Everybody's like, well, why wouldn't they have ever made one? Well, if you look at the option sheet for the price of a grill guard, you'd have to be like a fire department or a city. You'd have to have that kind of money to check that thing off on the option sheet. It's crazy. I don't remember the number, but it's so big, like no wonder nobody ordered them, you know? It's just one of those wild things that it'll be fun when you see this truck because you're getting to see things that you'll probably never see again because of some very talented guy's hard work. So thanks, Mike. Nice work.